Hiya, and welcome back to No More Future. The game that teaches us that, that the best way to save someone is to beat the ever-loving shit out of them. Anyways, let's just hop right in. I swear to God, this building is going to be the death of me. Apollo? Apollo? Is that? Wait, what? Before you can even process what you're witnessing, the girl rushes forward to embraces her brother as hard as she can. I was so worried. Why did you leave? You know it's dangerous out there at this hour. I swear. This building is going to be the death of me. I swear to God, this building is going to be the death of me. No, it's okay. We can talk about it later if you want. For now, how about we just... Before she can finish her sentence, the girl, the human, finally notices you and her expression does a complete 180. What is this? God damn it. Are you fucking kidding me now? Apollo seems completely oblivious to your mutual discomfort as he tries to introduce you to each other. Oh, him? Don't worry, Daphne. His name is Isaac, and he's... The human puts herself in between you two like a lioness would before her cubs. She may be small by your newfound standards, but her gaze is as fierce as can be. She's definitely scarier than those thieves from earlier, that's for sure. Apollo, I think I left a pot full of water on the stove. Can you go look at it for me for a while? Yep, you can already smell the trouble brewing from here. Literally. Are you sure, Daphne? Isaac, please. The lamb turns to look at you for a moment with uncertain eyes. He tries to reason with the human for a while, but ultimately can do nothing but heed her advice and step inside the house. Before he leaves, the young man sends you one last smile and a few words of encouragement. Don't worry, you got this. Without another word, Apollo closes the door behind him and leaves you and his sister to your devices. And then there were two. Can't say you're liking where your curiosity landed you. You're not sure what you're supposed to be more stunned by, her appearance or her temper. The young girl gives you an ice-cold stare, inspecting you from top to bottom without saying a word. It feels so surreal, actually standing face to face with one of them. A human. They're supposed to be a genetic and statistic anomaly. A 1 in a million occurrence, oftentimes even rarer than that. In a way, it's sort of like looking in a twisted mirror. She's a living reminder of what humanity used to look like before the shift over 100 years ago. You've never seen one of them in the flesh, and you were almost certain you'd never see one in the future either. All the humans you remember were either pictures on an ebook or paintings in a metaverse. Which is fitting considering that she looks like a piece of modern art herself. Her body, although completely devoid of fur, feathers, or scales, is more or less what you'd expect from someone her age. Her choice of attire, on the other hand, is questionable to say the least. What is truly unsettling, however, is her face. It looks like a white canvas where a child drew a pair of cold, piercing, blood-red eyes and a thin line for a mouth. Where in the world her nose disappeared to is another question entirely. You're not exactly an expert on human anatomy, but even you can ascertain that something's clearly unique about her. Maybe you're being a tad too judgmental, all things considered. However, it's hard to feel remorseful when she's being just as, if not even more judgmental than you. That hatred in her eyes leaves no doubt as to her feelings towards you, as well as her intentions. What do you want? The girl's been silent for... Yeah? The girl's been silent for so long you almost don't notice when she finally speaks up. You're pretty sure that she asked a question just now, though her tone made it seem more like a statement. Look, Listen, there's two kinds of people in this world. There's the people who don't have a problem with us, and then there's the people who do. Depending on which group you fit into, you're either going to leave on your own, or I'm going to have to force you to. The more this girl speaks, the more you can feel your rage building up inside you. Whatever problem you think I have with you two, I don't. You got the wrong guy. Yeah, I can tell that much. If you followed us here to start throwing hands, you'd already be on your way back to the lobby in pieces. Who in the world does this asshole think she is? Well, I guess that means we're done then. So long. Just like that, without so much as looking you in the eye, the human turns around, opens the door, and tries to get inside her apartment. But you aren't going to let her go that easy. Before you can realize it, you've already grabbed her by the arm, a furious look in your eyes. What the hell is your problem? For a moment, the girl looks stunned as she realizes what you just did. However, it doesn't take long for her to free herself from your grasp, clenching her fists tightly as she does so. What the hell is my problem? It's me, right? I can tell. I'm your problem, am I not? God knows I've been everybody's problem lately for whatever reason. For the first time since the beginning of this heated screaming contest, the girl looks genuinely speechless. You're a little unsure yourself. Ranting at someone like this doesn't feel like something you would ordinarily do. But you've been enduring this nonsense all day today, and you were bound to explode at some point. This asshole yelling at you for defending her brother was simply the last straw. You know, at least all the others had the decency of hating me in silence. Leaving quietly whenever I show up, staring hatefully at me from afar, keeping all their awful thoughts to themselves. But no, you just have to be upfront about how much you hate me, huh? All because I'm no longer alive like the rest of you, because I'm no longer human like the rest of you. What the fuck are you talking about? Fuck you. I've had enough of this nonsense. If you're gonna hate me just because of what I've become, at least say that to my face, instead of hiding behind all this passive-aggressive bullshit. It's not like I give a damn either way. I definitely didn't save your brother from those thugs earlier because I cared about the shitty opinions of people like you. You feel like you're out of breath, even though breathing is the last of your concerns right now. But that's okay. You said all that needed to be said. You should probably leave this asshole behind and head back to your apartment now. But you'd rather wait and see her reaction first, if only to claim a moral victory over her in the end. So, go on, I'm listening. Say what you want to say and be done with it. The girl remains quiet for a while, hesitating to speak up. Either you left her thoroughly speechless, or she's busy mulling over your words in silence, or both. Just as you're about to press her again, she finally asks a question that you weren't quite expecting. Did some thugs really try to attack Apollo? You're not kidding, right? The question came so out of left field, that it takes you a while to answer. If you really care, yes, some assholes were attacking him, so I knocked them out and let him bring me here. Happy now? There's no way you did that. It takes everything you have not to break out in laughter. This human is either irredeemably in denial or tremendously stubborn. I'm a 6'6" android covered in steel and titanium alloys from head to toe. You really think I can't handle myself in a fight? I didn't say you couldn't, I'm just saying you didn't. And why wouldn't I do it, huh? Now it's the girl's turn to raise her voice, the strength of her vocal cords being more than enough to stun you. You think everyone who comes up to our place is here to drink tea and play some zombie sniper or something? Look around you. You see any doors opening up? See anybody willing to check up on the mess we're making? You take a brief look around you, as the girl invited you to. The hallway is as empty as a modern art museum. Hiya. Oh, don't worry about it. Hallway is as empty as a modern art museum, just as she claimed it would be. Odd. Given the ruckus you've been causing, there's no way anyone in the building, or at least this floor, could be oblivious to you two. See? Nobody's going to check up on us. We could start killing each other right here, right now, and no one would bat an eye. After all, they can tell it's me who's getting railed by some weird-looking robot thing. You think they give a shit about that? You act like what you claim you did was normal, but it wasn't. So stop acting so high and mighty because you don't know jack shit about us. After the human's done with her rant, a long silence follows. You don't think either you or the girl has anything left to shout. You were quite thorough with your arguments. All you can do is look each other in the eyes, or your visor in her case, uncertain of where to go from here. You're still quite mad with her. She did say some pretty awful things after all. And yet, you feel like you understand her a little better now, somehow. You're saying you really helped my brother out? Her voice feels so much clearer now, almost like it was back when she welcomed Apollo back home. It still has a little bit of an edge to it, but it's not sharp enough to cut you anymore. Would you like to go ask him yourself? Assuming he hasn't already forgotten about it, that is. How do you... Ugh, of course you know about that. Do you mind? Might as well. Go right on ahead. Alright, give me a minute. Without further ado, The now quiet lady steps inside, leaving you hanging outside of the door. Looks like she can entertain reasonable conversations after all. At least whenever she feels like it. Despite her request to wait for a minute, it doesn't even take half of one for her to return. She doesn't look any different than how she did before, but her gaze is now facing the ground instead of your visor. I really fucked up, didn't I? Her tone sounds apologetic, or at least it tries to be. There's no more animosity in her voice, just a lot of awkwardness. You can say that again. I gotta say, I definitely didn't expect all that from the way Apollo described you. Yeah. Although, I know it sounds weird, but I think I kinda get it. I'm still not totally over your outburst just now, but I get it now. You've met a lot of awful people, haven't you? People who had no qualms about hurting both you and your brother. Made you feel like outcasts and exiles. I can tell. I've been in the same boat for the last 2 weeks. No, well before that even. I know how it feels to be in your position, and I can't imagine what you must have felt when you saw me show up at your doorstep unannounced like that. I see. The girl keeps staring at the floor for a while, unsure of how to respond. Well, fat lot of good that does me. Knowing you understand doesn't change the fact that I tried to scare off the only person. You're a person, right? Last I checked. Right. The only person who actually helped us out when we needed it. When he needed it. I'm so fucking useless. Useless isn't the word you'd use. An idiot would probably be a far more apt description. But at the very least, she seems willing to own up to her mistakes. You can respect that much at least. Seeing as she doesn't seem to know what to say next, you decide to help her out a little. Show her a little kindness, since you're feeling generous tonight. Rough as you may have been, at least you can claim you were acting in your brother's best interests. Better than most other people I've met tonight, at least. Plus, it's not like I was any nicer to you than you were to me. The girl laughs off your comment as she shakes her head. Please, you think any of that hurt me? If I couldn't handle a few mean words, I'd never be able to live that down. If anything, I'm glad you didn't break some of your silly steel alloys or whatever trying to punch down on little old me. This girl sure is full of herself, far more than you'd normally be able to tolerate. Although, something tells you that this isn't mere bravado speaking. Her cockiness is backed up by an unwavering courage and determination, even in the face of someone as scary as you. She's definitely got more character than most people out there. You'll give her that. Well, I guess I owe you an apology, as well as some thanks for helping Apollo out when I couldn't. I know you probably just want to leave and be done with us for good, but Apollo did say he wanted to invite you over for dinner. We're not a 5-star restaurant by any means, but it's the least I can offer to repay you for all the trouble you went through on his behalf. You could just tell her to fuck off and head straight to your apartment, you reason. It wouldn't be uncalled for, especially after everything you've had to endure tonight. But then, what are you going to do afterwards? It's not like there's anything left for you there, just an empty, lonely house. You have no friends to call, no games you feel like playing. You could head to bed early, but that's just as sad an alternative as doing nothing. It's true that both Apollo and his sister have given you plenty of reasons to want nothing to do with them. But at the same time, they also gave you plenty of reasons to be interested in them. Apollo's been nothing but sweet the whole night, while his sister, though extremely overprotective, seems like someone you'd love to chat and have a beer with. Judging from her expression, she probably expects you to leave, but like she's already resigned herself to the fact that you'll never want to see either of them again. And you don't feel like proving her right. Hope you guys have better games laying around than zombie sniper. Daphne's expression clearly shows how unexpected that answer is to her. However, after a few seconds of incredulity, she simply snorts as she motions you to follow her inside. Of course we do. What kind of loser do you take me for? Now get in already. I got plenty of fighting games and I can't wait to kick your ass in all of them. Fighting games. Reminds you of your late high school years, when you spent your afternoons playing at your friend's house while his family was away. Everything felt so much simpler back then. Well, at least winning against raging children online was. Maybe mopping the floor with this girl is exactly what you need to end your night on a positive note. With these comforting thoughts in mind, you step past the threshold to the two siblings' abode. Okay. The pair's apartment is warm, cozy, and surprisingly homely. Almost feels like an autumnal grove, with so many delicate beiges and browns coloring the place. A long orange carpet lies on the floor, while old-looking memorabilia spy on you from a half-hidden corner. A small brown sofa lies in the middle of the room before a short-legged table looking directly at an old-fashioned wooden drawer with a large screen on top. You can see lots of gaming equipment within the drawer and above the table, including a high-tech VR headset, the likes of which you could only dream of back when you still lived and breathed. Looks like finding ways to pass the time won't be an issue around these parts. In the back lies the kitchen, where you can see Apollo hard at work fiddling with pots, pans, and fiery stoves. Hey, you sure took some time. Everything alright? Spoken like someone who didn't run off as soon as things started heating up. Or maybe like someone who already forgot he did that in the first place. Yeah, we're cool. Upon noticing that you're there, the lamb's eyes widen in surprise. Isaac, you're here! I'm so glad! I didn't expect you to actually come visit tonight. Does this mean you and my sister are friends now? Not quite, no, though you imagine it's not a very nice thing to say out loud. Before you can explain yourself to the young man, his sister steps forward to reply in your stead. Something like that, but really, all I did was invite him in for dinner. That's what you wanted, right? Of course! I'm so happy to hear that. Last time we had dinner for 3 was... Instead of answering his own query, the lamb suddenly quiets down as his face turns darker. Whatever he's thinking about, you can't imagine it being very nice. The shift. What's that? What is that? What's a shift? Or the shift, what is that? Daphne runs to her brother's side, putting an arm around his back in an attempt to comfort him. Come on, don't look so glum, not in front of our guest. We'll have a nice dinner together, alright? Just like old times. After a while, the lamb calms down and the light returns to his eyes. His sister did a great job comforting him, though from what you still cannot say. The young man then turns to address you once again, a happy look on his carefree face. Right, I did say we always cook more than we need, didn't I? He said something about the shift. Kind of curious about that. I'm going to go see what that is. Well, we can't go back that far. I guess I'll get an opportunity to show you after all. A very happy look on his face indeed. Almost unnaturally so. He acts like he didn't just narrowly avoid some sort of existential crisis. Could it be that he already forgot all about it? In 3 seconds flat? You turn to face Daphne, hoping to find out something from her, but the girl looks as calm as can be, if only a little uncertain. She at least seems to be aware of what just happened, which does confirm that this isn't another case of your paranoia acting up. There's something truly strange about that boy, beyond his sudden bouts of amnesia, although the memory loss is definitely connected to it. Whatever it could be, however, you can't even fathom a guess at. Anyway, you should probably get back to that stove before something happens to the food. Oh, right! Spurred on by his sister's reminder, the lamb rushes back to the kitchen, leaving you and the human alone in the living room. We're having spaghetti and meatballs tonight, by the way. Is that fine with you, Isaac? We also have leftovers in the fridge if you'd prefer something else. I'll take the spaghetti, thank you. Again, it really doesn't matter what food they offer you. You could skip on this meal entirely if you so wished. But it'd be criminal to refuse their offer, especially when the aroma emanating from the stove is so good. He's ooh-wooing again. While your synthetic nose goes ham on the intoxicating allure of the meatballs cooking in the oil, you spot Daphne grabbing some old-school controllers from the drawer underneath the screen, beckoning for your assistance. Come on, help me set this thing up. Your ass won't be grass on its own, you know. Oh my god. She's going to attempt to turn our ass into grass and be the lawnmower. Are you sure? I wouldn't want Apollo to feel left behind while we play. Upon hearing your concerns, the lamb shyly replies from the kitchen. Oh, thanks for the offer, but I think I have to turn it down. Someone has to keep an eye on all these goodies. I don't mind if you guys want to do a couple rounds before dinner. It should only be 10 minutes before everything's ready anyway. Are you sure about that? Yeah, absolutely. Have fun for me too, alright? I'll be cheering you on from over here. And with that, the young man returns to his work at the hot stove, roasting meatballs and tomato sauce and whatnot. You're still a little unconvinced, but it'd be rude to refuse Daphne's offer now that Apollo's given you the all clear. In the end, you decide to just honor the two wishes and give the cocky girl the beating she's looking for. Which game are we playing? You slowly approach the drawer where the human is still busy trying to turn on the video game console hooked up to the screen. The Ultimate System 5D. Definitely not what you describe as a casual console in the slightest. That abomination has bred the most toxic, entitled, and overall garbage players of the last decade, as well as some of the best in the world overall. Super Smash Bros. Wait. What's it called? The Ultimate System 5D. That does not sound like something that Nintendo would make. So let's like think about this for a moment. My guess is, in this universe, Microsoft bought out Nintendo, merged the Xbox and Nintendo Switch stuff into the Ultimate System series, and now we are going to play Smash Bros. On what can be best described as an Xbox that can transcend time, also known as the Ultimate System 5D. As such, number 15, Smash Bros. If you dare challenge a synthetic at Smash Bros, your ass will be grass and I'm the lawnmower. Yep. Daphne had to learn how to consistently talk shit somewhere, and she definitely didn't pick it up from Apollo. You've never owned that console. Lucky you. But you've played on it a couple times at your old friend's house. It's been almost a year since the last time you did, however. You hope your muscle memory will be enough to carry you, assuming you retained any past your transition. As you're inspecting the console while waiting for the main menu screen to pop up, Daphne whispers in your ear in an almost conspiratorial fashion. Don't listen to him. He just doesn't want to be next in line on the chopping block is all. My brother's a big softy, even in video games. If there's any fighting involved, he just freezes up like a popsicle. I hope you'll be able to provide me with a better challenge. I've grown tired of stomping angry losers on ladder. You never played online on this system, but she definitely sounds like someone who regularly does. She doesn't look like such a player, mind you, but the attitude checks out. Can you can it with the trash talk? It's not going to stop you from getting wrecked, you know. You hope. Huh. Feeling real confident today, aren't we? Alright, I'll let my joystick do the talking. At least until I'm done thrashing you. Thank goodness for that. You never could stand people who boasted twice as much as they played. Even if they're probably better than you at the game. While the game boots up... I swear to God, is it going to turn into this? I will literally laugh my ass off if it's just like... If, like, Isaac loses, Daphne just disappears out of existence and then comes back. And it's just like... Get over here! You're my toaster now! Apollo's going to be so sad. He's going to be like, hey, where'd Isaac go? And Daphne's just going to be like, oh, he went home forever. Anyways, we got a new toaster. While the game boots up, the two of you take a seat on the sofa, your controller's already in your hands. The couch is barely big enough for you both, but you somehow manage to retain some space between you two as you sit down. So, how experienced are you at Reaper's Scythe? Reaper's what? It's a competitive game from a few decades ago. Real competitive. Official servers have been down for quite a while, but local multiplayer is always an option. Unless you'd rather we play something more mainstream. This could be tougher than you expected, but you're strangely fine with it. Nah, I'm up for the challenge. Can't be all that different from Masters of Warriors 4. Masters of... Oh boy, you're really gonna get it, huh? Hey, we'll see about that. As the game boots up, the visual presentation catches you off guard. It looks like a retro-esque 2D fighter with stylized character models against highly detailed black and white backgrounds. It is Smash Bros! It is Smash Bros! Or at least like an off-brand version of Smash Bros. This isn't Super Smash Bros. This is whatchamacallit, that thing that Palutena said in Kid Icarus Uprising. I think it was Kid Icarus Uprising. Yeah, I think it was. Superb Bash Sisters. You wonder whether your old friend Nem would enjoy this kind of game. The two of you played very few fighting games together, but you'd like to think you have something of a culture on the topic thanks to him. You pray that all those years of experience with him will be of any help against this new foul-mouthed opponent. As the first round begins, however, it's clear that you are sorely underprepared for what awaits you. Without any time to learn the control scheme or the moveset of your character, you're at the complete mercy of your opponent, who wastes no time mopping the floor with your pixelated remains. No, it's not Smash Bros. It's Street Fighters. It's Street Fighters. The first round concludes not even a minute after it began, with the resounding 1-0 for the ever-cocky human. Or it could be Mortal Kombat. Need a hand? Awfully nice of her to ask, as well as awfully late. No, I think I can handle this. Let me know how that works out for you. You vigorously shake your head like a fighter in the middle of an arena, trying to focus solely on the game before you and on beating this snarky little pest. However, concentrating proves to be harder than expected as a human begins conversing with you in between matches. Alley Smasher. Is that like an actual game? Let me Google it real quick. Oh my God. Off-brand Street Fighter. But it was made by the official developers. Konami. But no, it's not Konami, it's... It's, fuck. I can't think of an off-brand version of Konami. So, what's your name again? Right, she still hasn't asked that of you, has she? Name's Isaac. Isaac. Well, mine's Daphne. Good to meet you, I guess. So what's up with the weird robot cosplay? I don't know. What's up with you not having a nose? The human appears to take great offense at your lighthearted banter. What are you talking about? My nose is right here! She points at a blank spot on her face with her finger and starts twirling it around, as if to highlight a feature that isn't there. Okay, Voldemort. You can't tell whether she's being serious or not right now. Right, well, to answer your question, This is no cosplay. I'm the real deal. The real deal? I don't even know what that deal is. Hold on. You never heard about synthetics before? Do I look like I have? That's strange. It really puts that heated exchange in the hallway in an entirely different perspective. If she really doesn't know about synthetics, she can't hate them either. Which means the only reason she was hostile to you at the start was because she thought you could be a threat to Apollo. That's quite understandable, actually. So, going to explain yourself anytime soon, or do you want your ass kicked again before you do? You only now realize you managed to lose another round while you were thinking all that. Maybe focusing on 3 things at once is still a little too much for you. As you begin another match, you try to explain yourself to the inquisitive girl. Well, like I said, I'm a synthetic. So, you're a robot? An android, big difference. Look, I can barely tell a freezer and a fridge apart, alright? If there's a difference between those 2 terms, I can't see it. I see. I guess I should have expected that. I was like that too before I turned this way. Well, care to explain what I'm missing? What I'm missing then? That I'm alive, for starters. The look on her face is definitely worthy of the half-truth you spoke so convincingly. You serious? As much as you'd like to say yes, you realize that the truth is far more complex than that. Well, that's what we're trying to find out anyway. If I'm really alive, I mean. It's a long story. We have time. It's not like we're going anywhere. I guess. Well, the short version is that I used to be a human. Same as, well, not you. I was diagnosed with cancer, and there was nothing they could do to help me. That's when a corporation called Pandora offered to shove my soul into this thing. An unorthodox remedy, for sure. Yeah, the idea was that, if they could somehow separate my soul from my body, I could live forever inside the synthetic body. Of course, we still don't know if I had a soul to begin with, which is why I'm not exactly brimming with enthusiasm right now. Huh, and here I thought I had issues. The girl looks pretty unimpressed with your story for whatever reason. You definitely expected a bigger rise out of her than whatever you got. So what if it turns out that you don't have a soul? Are you going to shut down and die the moment you find out? If that happens, I guess it'll mean that I really am a fake. That the real Isaac died 2 weeks ago, alone and without his family. That I'm only deluding myself into thinking that I'm alive, when I'm really just another AI. An AI smart enough to behave like a human, but not smart enough to realize that it isn't human to begin with. As you ponder over this dreadful possibility, you see Daphne turn to face the other way, uncomfortable with the trouble she stirred up. That sounds harsh. You wouldn't say. Don't act like there's anything I could say. It's not like I encounter this stuff like this every day. I guess all I can say is, I'm sorry? Judging from her expression, not even she seems to be fully convinced by her own apology. You suppose you can understand her. Your issues and struggles aren't relatable or easy to understand for most. At least she's trying to be supportive, which is more than you can say for most others you've met in the past few weeks. It's alright. Like I said before, it's just a bad theory. I'm sure the scientists at Pandora will disprove it eventually. That said, it's probably best if we stopped talking about it for now. Shall we get back to the game? You mean the game I'm currently wrecking you on? Weird choice, but sure. Right on cue, you realize that you lost about 5 more sets to her while you were busy explaining your predicament. It's good to know that your hands can still move your character while you're thinking of things that, other than the game. You just wish that those movements were a little better than that. You have a feeling that your performance wouldn't improve all that much even if you gave it your all. This video game's much tougher than you initially thought it'd be, and your opponent much tougher still. As you're thinking about that, you hear Daphne address you once again. So, you defended Apollo from some thieves, right? Now that's a little out of the blue. You expected her to ask about this topic at some point, but not this early, especially when the person you're talking about isn't even here to listen to it. Regardless, you see no reason not to answer her question now that she's formulated it. I did. I'm pretty sure we already established that. We have, yeah, that's said. Wait for the human to make her point as your character gets knocked out once again, only a few hits away from returning the favor. I still don't get it. Huh? What do you mean? I don't get why you did it. Why would you go out of your way and take a beating for him? After all, you know how this country deals with those who participate in fights. It would have made more sense for you to pretend you didn't see anything. You understand what she means. You had similar thoughts after the scuffle too. But Mary promised the law couldn't touch you anymore, so you're pretty sure you're going to be fine in that regard. Would you have preferred me to join the thieves and start beating him up? The human doesn't seem to pick up your irony as she answers your hypothetical. Of course not! But at least I could have seen that coming. Seen that coming? Are you kidding me? Aren't you being a little extreme right now? The girl shakes her head at your question, a confused and empty look in her eyes. I'm just being realistic. You had nothing to gain from getting involved. A regular person would have just walked away, or maybe recorded the fight and then put it on WeTube or something. Meanwhile, you charged in without a second thought. She does have a point. You truly did act on nothing but a whim back then. Even had you known that you'd be rewarded with a good meal for your troubles by Apollo, wouldn't have been enough to justify your reckless actions tonight. Especially considering what could have happened had someone caught wind of what was going on. Look, I get it. I'm sorry for doubting you, alright? You helped us out tonight, and I'm grateful for that. I'm just a little surprised is all. We're not used to people helping us out like you did. That's just how it has always been for us. That's why I have to ask, why would you do that? Why would you go out of your way and endanger yourself for someone you didn't know? Why did you do it indeed? Among all the answers you could give, you don't know which would be the most accurate or truthful. In the end, however, you feel confident enough to share this one. Because it felt like it was the right thing to do. The human's expression appears to crack as you give her your answer. She doesn't seem to know how to reply to your answer in the slightest. The right thing? What even is that? For a moment, you think that she's just messing with you, but her words are so sincere that you have to do a double take. You're kidding, right? The girl stays silent for a while, seemingly unsure of whether she should even answer that question entirely. I'm not. I really don't know. Do you? Now there's another question you never thought you'd be asked. What's up with all these people asking you strange questions as of late? Well, the right thing to do is the right thing to do. You know, something you just have to do because it's the right thing. You were so unprepared for that question, you couldn't avoid using circular thinking to explain your point. Much to the girl's dismay, even you are disappointed by how stupid you sounded while trying to explain such a simple concept. And how are you supposed to know that something is the right thing to do? How can you tell when you have to do something? Let's hope you can give her a slightly better explanation this time. Wouldn't want to make a fool of yourself before her for the upteenth time tonight. Well, you know, because you can feel it, like, in your heart. Oh, so we're playing Kingdom Hearts now. So we're playing Kingdom Hearts now. Let me, like, check real quick. I don't got it for the Ultimate X Destroyer Box 5th Dimension Thingamajig, whatever it's called. But I got it for PlayStation and shit, so, like, yeah. Dude, if you want to stop playing this game... It's like, Daphne, if you want to stop playing this game, just ask. Something in my heart? Silence and doubt yet again. You may have known Daphne for about 20 minutes now, but it already feels so weird seeing her like this. I guess a better way of explaining it is that, had I not tried to help Apollo, I would have surely regretted it. I know that I had no real reason to help out your brother, but... had something happened to him when I could have prevented it, I likely would have regretted it for the rest of my life. I'd relive that moment from earlier tonight over and over every day and curse myself for not doing what I could have. The girl keeps quiet for a while as she mulls over your words. You can't quite tell what's going through her head right now, but it's clear that she's taken your words to heart. Can't say I understand everything you said, but I think I'm starting to get it. Well, that's good at least, though is it really that hard to understand? Look, your answers are tough, alright? And your questions are weird. Ha! Yeah, I guess. What can I say? I'm ignorant like that. You're not ignorant. Yeah, I am. There's tons of stuff I don't know, alright? Especially when it comes to dealing with other people. I didn't exactly have many friends growing up. Is that so? Apollo said something like that too. The girl hesitates to meet your gaze, an unhappy look on her face. I'm sorry if my questions are weird. I didn't mean to offend you or anything. You didn't offend me. I was just a little surprised is all. I don't mind these kinds of questions. You're not even the first to ask me stuff like that out of the blue. I'm just happy to help, really. Daphne hints at a smile as she turns to face you once again. Well, thanks for all the help then. After that exchange is over, you go back to focusing on the game before you for a while. You're slowly getting the hang of it, but you're still nowhere near Daphne's level, especially when she plays the supposedly worst characters in the game. She still handily beats you by a large margin. You've become so focused trying to snatch a win from her, you almost don't notice her sliding closer to you while you play. Anyway, since we talked about it earlier, what can you tell me about the people who attacked Apollo tonight? Huh? Shouldn't she be asking Apollo about this, or at least ask you in his presence? Nevertheless, you see no reason not to answer her reasonable query. There were three, 2 guys and a girl, all about 20-something. Aside from one of them who was carrying a baseball bat around, they just looked like average people, just a bunch of idiots trying to make a quick buck or something. You notice that Daphne's performance in-game is starting to dwindle all of a sudden, likely as a result of her focusing her attention on this important talk. I see. So you know what they wanted from Apollo? They said something about his money, but that's about it. Why? The human barely reacts as you finally take one of her lives. Did those guys give you any trouble when you stepped in? Did she even hear your question just now? She looks like she did, and yet... I mean, not really. They tried to fight me off, but I was more trouble than they could handle, it seems. I don't think they would have even picked up that fight had they been able to see who they were really messing with. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. One of them had an ability. I think he was just a regular cryomancer. Well, as regular as ability users get, anyway. Luckily, it was nothing I hadn't handled before, but... Damn it, they're sending people with abilities after us now? You interrupt your explanation as you realize that Daphne's muttering something under her breath, her expression half hidden from you as she retreats further into the sofa. What in the world is she talking? Oh, no way. Hold on a moment. Are you saying you know who those guys were? Upon realizing that you heard her and wish to know more, the woman suddenly turns defensive. That's not any of your business. Not my business, but... I said what I said, don't make me repeat myself. And keep your voice down for fuck's sake. Apollo could hear us. You've no idea why Daphne would rather not involve her own brother in this discussion, seeing as though he's the one who was harassed by those thugs in the first place. But you're willing to agree to her conditions if it means prodding her a little further. Do you know what they were after? You said it yourself. Money. Right. Does the fact that you know them mean this is regular occurrence for you? No answer. Who were they really? More silence. You understand that you're being a little rude by pressing her for information like this, but given the apparent gravity of the situation, you simply cannot hold yourself back. Come on, are you really going to keep all of this stuff to yourself? This isn't your problem to deal with. Not my... You're honestly astounded that you've managed to keep yourself from shouting so far. I went out of my way to protect your brother from those people. He was never meant to go out there in the first place. I still don't know why he... Ugh. Daphne shakes her head as she turns to look at you once again, a pleading look on her face. I'm thankful for your help tonight. I am. But that doesn't mean you're suddenly involved in all this. This is my mess to fix. What this mess even is, you still don't know. You have a vague idea, but maybe now that she's willing to compromise, she might find it in her to answer some of your questions. Alright, fine. I get why you don't want me to involve myself or whatever. But why do you not want to involve him? He's the one who got jumped by those thugs in the first place. Apollo doesn't deserve to get wrapped up in all this. He's innocent. He's already gone through so much. The last thing he needs is something else to worry over. And yet, nobody's going to stop those people from harassing him again, is it? Once again, the human can reply with nothing but silence. There's a difference in this quiet, however. Whereas before you could only perceive anger in it, now feels more as though it's born of regret. Look, As you're about to ask the adamant human even more questions, a familiar voice comes from behind the couch, startles you both. Hey, you guys having fun? The sudden sight of Apollo's warmly smiling The sudden sight of Apollo warmly smiling at you renders you thoroughly speechless. How long has he been there? Judging from the look on his face, he must have just arrived, but... Whoa, you actually beat her? The boy stares at the screen in front of you, where your victory is clearly displayed in the post-battle results. You totally forgot about that video game. So taken you were in that argument with Daphne. I'm impressed, Isaac. That's a huge achievement. If he really just arrived, does that mean he really didn't hear the harsh words that the two of you were whispering at each other? You have half a thought of telling Apollo everything on the spot, seeing as though his sister likely won't. However, seeing as though you still know so little about what's going on, perhaps you should wait before doing something so careless. While you think how best to proceed, you resume your talk with Apollo as though nothing's out of the ordinary. Don't be so impressed. I lost plenty of matches before getting to this point. Oh, don't sell yourself short. Winning against Daphne's no small feat. I wouldn't know. I've still yet to properly win against her. That's not true. You've won plenty of times against me. Yeah, when you let me. I can tell that you go easy on me. That's not true. And yet the human's hesitance to greet her brother's gaze says otherwise. It's alright. I'm sure I'll be able to win eventually. Maybe you could even give me a few pointers, Isaac. I just noticed this. He has like a little heart right there. Like, I just noticed that. Huh? Me? Of course. If you want to share your knowledge with me. Anyway. Okay. Let's add him to the list. Okay, there's like a list of precious boys in games. There's like a list. So we're going to add Apollo to the list. So there's TJ from Echo. Baby Ty from Soleo. I'm going to count Anel from Far Beyond the World. And now Apollo. It was so hard to think of them. It'd be my pleasure. The young man's lips curl into a happy little smile, likely thinking of all the fun you'll have together. This lighthearted conversation is quite the contrast to the heated nonsense you were discussing with Daphne a while ago. You can't blame Daphne for trying to protect that smile at all costs. Maybe her decision to leave Apollo in the dark might not be as senseless as you thought. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. I came here to tell you guys that the meatballs are ready. Now that he mentions it, the inviting smell coming from the kitchen is more intoxicating than ever. You'd completely blocked that out while you were fighting with Daphne, but now you're glad that your new synthetic mouth can no longer salivate. Else there'd be a gigantic lake on the floor by now. Dinner sounds awesome right about now. Do you want me to go grab the plates and cutlery for you? Oh, there's no need. I already took care of everything myself. Plus, you're our guest. There's no way I'd ask that of you. Maybe you won't. And speaking of, guess who's on cleaning duty after we're finished? Not him, that's for sure. Tonight was your turn to do the dishes. The human chuckles at her brother's reprimands. Alright, I'll take care of that. No problem. The two of them sure are close, you wonder. Being an only child, you always thought siblings would be far more jaded between one another than this. And yet, fun banter aside, the two of them seem to care very deeply for one another. Watching the two of them smile at each other like that, you can't help but feel a knot in your heart growing tighter by the minute. Isaac, you alright? Huh? Yeah, I'm okay. Oh, that's good. You stopped moving for a second, so I got a little worried. So, ready to join us for dinner? Of course! I've been waiting to try out your cooking all night. It really is nothing special, I swear. At least compared to Daphne's. No, please, who do you think I learned from, huh? With plenty of laughter in tow, the three of you start heading to the kitchen area, the fragrant smell of meatballs and tomato luring you in. While walking there, you feel Daphne whispering something in your ear. To answer your question from earlier, I'll stop them. Trust me. With that, the girl speeds up her pace and catches up to her brother ahead. Alright, if you say so, I'll trust you. At least for now. You haven't had a dinner this nice in quite a while, truth be told. The spaghetti is cooked to perfection. The meatballs are juicy and well cooked, and every bite you take drives you toward the exit. Drives you toward the next. You thought you'd never get to enjoy eating again now that you're synthetic. You owe one to Apollo for proving you wrong. It's been a while since you last addressed one another, so taken you were with the fine meal before you. Nonetheless, the quiet soon ends as the young lamb notices the pleased look on your face. I see that you're enjoying yourself. My sister's meatballs are truly the best, aren't they? Your meatballs? I barely got the mixture ready. You're the one who did all the real work. No, I just did everything you asked of me, that's all. Hey, don't underestimate yourself. This food really is amazing, and it's all thanks to you. The young lamb blushes as he turns away from you, evidently embarrassed. The sight's so cute you can't help but smile. His sister, on the other hand, is less interested in your compliments and more so with your appetite. Honestly, I'm surprised you can even eat all this. Oh, I knew you didn't like it. I didn't mean it like that. Give me a break. I'm talking about him being an android and all that. Is he even supposed to be eating right now? Doesn't it interfere with your systems or something? Or are your microchips tomato sauce proof? I understand where you're coming from. I couldn't figure that out myself for the longest of times. Long story short, the food is processed and disappears in my bloodstream over time. I'm not going to be overdosing on sauce tonight, I can promise you that much. Bloodstream? It's something like that, yeah. Feels a little nicer than fuel stream, although it's not as accurate. There's fuel running through my body at all times. It activates a generator inside me that powers my system, then distributes that electricity across my body as it shuffles around. It also slowly dissolves organic matter over time without risk to the integrity of my systems. I think it's even enriched by the stuff I consume. So, you eat because it helps charge your batteries? Well, yes and no. On one hand, you're right, eating does contribute to keeping me healthy, but it's not necessary by any means. I can survive off of my base supply of fuel alone. So really, the reason I eat is that, well, I do it because I enjoy it. Because it's fun. Though, didn't I already say something about that when we were in the lobby earlier? Oh, that's right. That's how we ended up talking about having dinner together, wasn't it? My apologies. I totally blanked out. Again. Don't apologize. It's not your fault or anything. Besides, if anything, I should be thanking you for sharing such a wonderful meal with me. The lamb beams at your appreciative comments, and even the human seems a little happy at your response. However, she does appear a little perplexed about one specific thing you mentioned. Enjoy it? Why would you need to enjoy it, though? Daphne. The girl seems a little troubled for a second, as if only now realizing the boldness of her question. Sorry, got a little ahead of myself. Let me go back a few steps. How often do you have to refuel? I imagine you gotta take breaks every once in a while. In theory, it's once a week, though I usually do it more often than that just to be sure. I've got a device installed at my place that takes care of that for me while I rest. I just plug in when I need to recharge and plug out once I'm ready to go. You can rest? The human seems rather confused by your answer for some reason. While she ponders what to ask next, Apollo takes over for her. That sounds interesting. It's like a standby mode of sorts? Not exactly, no. A human brain is always working, even while asleep. People don't take breaks in between their conscious moments, and supposedly neither do I. If my systems were to stop working at any point, You don't even need to finish that thought for the two of them to realize what you mean by that. There's no way that could happen, though, right? You certainly hope so. You didn't survive death once just to die a second time. And yet, before you can venture any deeper into the depths of your fear, the girl tries to bring the two of you back to a less traumatizing topic. Alright, so you can't just shut down and come back later. I get that much. But then, how are you supposed to rest? When I'm refueling, I wear a special VR headset that allows me to unfocus a little. It's kind of like watching a movie or listening to a really deep song. Helps me relax and lose my grip on reality for a while. Like a dream? Yeah, kind of like a dream. A very, very controlled dream. Definitely not as wild or unpredictable as the ones you used to have in your youth, which is both a blessing and a curse. Now that you think about it, you wonder whether this means you can also have nightmares. You'd think not, but then again, who knows what those lunatics at Pandora would do just to mess with you. I still don't get it. The human interrupts your train of thought with a strange interjection. What do you mean? All this stuff sounds cool, don't get me wrong, but also kinda unnecessary when you think about it. Eating, sleeping, dreaming. Now that you're half machine, it's not like you need to do this stuff anymore. She does make a point, you reason. I'm just wondering why they bothered to add all these things when you no longer require them to live is all. I'm not quite sure. It's not something you gave much thought to before, truth be told. You always thought that your ability to do these things even as a synthetic was somehow normal, but now you see the strangeness of this situation. Why would Mary and the rest of her team do all this indeed? What motivation could drive her to help you retain all these interests, when all they are now is just meaningless stuff? Oh, maybe it's to help you feel better. To make me feel better? I mean, I guess you're right to say that all that stuff is kind of pointless and all. But I still enjoy eating nice food with you guys at my side, and nothing can beat hitting the bed after a long day either. Maybe the people who made you want to continue experiencing these things, even as an android. That way, you wouldn't feel bad over not being able to do certain things anymore. So I wouldn't feel any less human. That makes a lot of sense, actually. You're not sure how such simple reasoning hadn't occurred to you before. But this does explain even more than you originally thought, like your ability to still breathe of your own accord, or walk around like a regular person instead of running on wheels or something. Mary and her team really did conceive synthetics as the future of humanity, after all. Apollo seems quite happy with this realization. It's nice to know that your friends at Pandora care so much about you. They must really like you if they're going above and beyond for you like that. You wonder whether you should tell them about that whole Arthur fiasco. Probably not. Better not risk yet another headache thinking about that abomination of science. They could be nice sometimes, yeah. Pandora's definitely nowhere near as bad as a company as I thought they were. I just wish that everyone else would be a little nicer to me too. Daphne turns away from you for a moment, looking a little embarrassed. Right. Sorry about that again. Oh, don't worry. I'm not talking about you. I already accepted your apologies for that. We're cool. And yet, Apollo averts his gaze from you nonetheless. You're pretty sure he knew in advance that what was going to happen, but did nothing to try and prevent it. His sister's definitely shady for not telling her brother about those things you had talked about earlier, but some of the things Apollo don't sit well with you either. You know, this could all just be because of his memory issues. It could be that he simply forgot to warn you about his sister's bad side, or maybe he thought she wouldn't be as rude to you as she ended up being. Since you still don't have any definitive answers either way, you try to forget about these worries of yours for a moment and return to your dinner time conversation. When I said I was mad at people for treating me poorly, I was talking about all the people out there. Yeah, right. You said something about that in the hallway earlier, didn't you? Something about how everyone else views you as some kind of weirdo? Something like that, yeah. Pretty much everyone outside of Pandora thinks I'm going to cause the apocalypse by the way they look at me. I guess that Kronos was a big thing 40 years ago, but still. The doubtful look on Daphne's face hints that she's not wholly satisfied with your explanation. Meanwhile, Apollo's gaze betrays that he's not quite sure what the two of you are even talking about. Wasn't that whole Kronos thing a pretty big deal, though? Almost wiping out the entire planet isn't something most people view lightly, especially when half of those people were there to see it happen firsthand. Even so, me and Kronos are nothing alike. At least you're pretty sure that's the case. I'm a living being, or I was at least. I'm not at all like Kronos. After some time spent questioning both you and herself, Daphne lightly shakes her head before turning to face you once again. You know what? You're right. You really mean that? I mean, yeah. What, you think I'm going to say something like, people are right to be afraid of you, or some dumb shit like that? Fuck people. They're full of shit, the lot of them. If all they can talk about is how dangerous you are, that makes you a dope in my book. You can't help but chortle at the human's remark, straightforward as it is. The girl sure has a way with words, you reckon. Honestly, I'm pretty sure that you haven't cracked under the pressure yet. Pretty surprised that you haven't cracked under the pressure yet. Must be pretty strong to have endured all that shit for so long. But I know firsthand how much bullshit the world can spit at you sometimes. So if you ever need a hand, be sure to call on me. And me, of course. You're not quite sure what help the two siblings could provide you with, but you cannot help but smile at their suggestion nonetheless. Thanks, I owe you one. No, you don't. We owe you one after tonight. I foresee a lot of free lunchboxes in your future. I have to. Time to piss people off. If this even pisses them off, I don't think it will. Let me just... There we go. We have to add the ooh-woo. You can't say that you find that thought unappealing in the slightest. Having a secret top-tier restaurant a few floors up you can eat at every once in a while is definitely not a downside in your book. First impressions aside, Daphne and Apollo are quite the friendly and helpful pair. You feel as though you definitely misjudged them earlier. Much like, to be fair, they did to you. You know, there's still something I don't understand. The lamb's expression sours all of a sudden as he begins pondering something you can't quite grasp. We're gonna leave off here tonight. This music slaps. Not much can be said, so stay safe, have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.